Richard. Out of everyone in the entirety of Hawken, Richard is probably the person who missed home the very most. And as he sees the familiar spires of the St. Mary Church peak their shimmering gold crosses above the rolling hills surrounding the small town, he can't help but get an overwhelming sense of joy. It isn't specifically Hawken that Richard has been missing, nor is it his father, Dennis Wald, town doctor for 3 decades. No, it's his dear Rebecca. His love, whom he hasn't seen in what seems like forever. As the small dusty roads lead home closer and closer to the familiar buildings of his childhood. Rebecca's beautiful dark hair, her silver blue eyes, her rosy lips and perfect ivory skin plays like a soppy romance movie inside of his head. The longing for her has been too great for too long, especially now that she hasn't responded to his last 2 letters. But surely they must have just got lost in transit. And although all he wants is to just drive to her house first thing, he knows he needs to drop off by his father's first. After all, Rebecca doesn't know he's returning so soon, and turning up unannounced would just be rude. Richard's father, however, do know he's returning, and is standing at the doorstep puffing at his pipe as Richard pulls up. His father was never known to be the warmest of men, and he has only grown colder after Richard's mom passed away before the war. But just now, as he sees his son return from the war, there's a small glimmer of pride in his eyes. Why don't you describe what Richard looks like?
Well, I'm a young man, dark-haired, blue eyes, currently wearing a nice, clean shirt and old brown overcoat. Not the finest brand by any means, but something that's kept me warm on many nights. I'm a bit short for most people my age, quite thin, long sharp nose, wide jaw, watery eyes. Still, I made sure I'm smart, after all. Pa wouldn't approve if I wasn't looking my best, coming back from the war and all that. I really wish I could have come back sooner, but well, the truth was there was just so much more work to be done. I was needed by a lot of people, and it took a lot of time to move all the injured safely from France and the front lines all the way back to hospitals in London and places like that, and I was needed, so I've been very busy, but finally, it's all good, and I reckon I've done my part, and I can come home, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little nervous as I see Pa, but I'm glad. It's been too long, and I will straighten up, smiling, and go over slowly, saying, Pa, it's me, I'm home.
Welcome home, my son. Your dad holds out his hand to shake yours.
Part of me would very much like to embrace him. I've missed him, but of course I know he wouldn't be liking that, so yes, I give him a good, proper firm handshake.
Actually, now that you think about it, your dad has never really hugged you. It's just a fleeting thought. I trust you served our country well in your time away and learned sufficiently to start your studies, he says, and gives you a sharp look.
I blink a little, caught off guard by such a direct question, but that's not unusual. Oh, hi, Pa, I reckon I learned a few things. Hopefully, apparently I was of some use. France was, well, I'd like to say it was lovely, but it wasn't really. But I learned a lot. I finally know how to properly do the bandage. You were always going on about me about that. I know now. I know exactly how to properly clean the bandage.
And you're suturing?
Yes. No, I can do all the procedures she showed me.
I'll see about that. He turns his back to you and walks inside. It's one of the larger houses in Hawken. The Walls were never known to be one of the families in need of money, and Richard has always had the most expensive clothes and toys as a child. Made the Walls house quite a popular hangout for many kids in the town. Your father sits down at the dinner table, where several sheets of paper has already been spread out in neat order. He gestures towards them. Now, Richard, I will let you settle down, but you never answered me in your letters when I talked to you about continuing your studies in London. And before you say anything, I know that Rebecca girl has muddled your mind with that nonsense about marriage. But we have to look at the tasks at hand.
I enter the house slowly, memories coming back. It's such a lovely home. I've missed it. Granted, it's a little strange as well, because I never quite realized how big a house it was until I was in the complete opposite, lying in rags and mud and filth. I didn't ever quite realize how lucky I was. Still, I'm back now, but all that is distracted by these papers and sitting down, and I just sort of sit down a bit automatically, and I'm like, so what are these, Pa?
Well, if you've read my letters, you would know. These are, contracts. You know, I got you a very good place in a medical school in London. And I think this will be the opportunity of your lifetime, boy. He claps your shoulder and sits down in front of you.
I kind of choke a little for some reason. I'm not sure why, and I just sort of clear my throat. Pa, but how have you been able to afford this? Times have been hard. You haven't been putting the savings into this, have you?
Oh, don't you worry about that, my son. I have enough. We have savings, and your future as a doctor is the most important thing. I know you have to keep the family legacy going.
Well, I know, but surely you need help at the GP. Surely it would be better to start off there. I mean...
No, you shouldn't be stuck here in old Halcan. Now that you've been to war, now that you've had first-hand experience with the patients, you should go. You should go use that brain of yours.
But what's the point of this? I understand I haven't got a proper license yet, but this all just seems... I mean, I know enough to help you, and isn't that enough? This just seems like what more? How many more years of education? I'm going to be behind.
But Richard, what's the point of this? It's your future. Now you're acting silly now. You can't just practice as a doctor without having your degree. You know, we're not back in the Middle Ages.
I know, Pa, I know. It all got a bit blurry out there, you know, in France.
Well, in France you were only a medic, not a doctor.
Aye, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of sigh inwardly. I want to say more. I want to say that I don't really want this anymore. It's not that I'm not grateful. I'm very grateful, but I'm worried. Does he really have the money? And what's the point? And then there's Rebecca. I'm going to try and propose. I just kind of clam up and just start nodding like, well, we can have a talk about this. Yes, Father, yeah, we can certainly have a talk. Yes.
Yes. I'll let you settle down. I know I'm attacking you out of left field, but it's important, and we have no time to waste now that you're back home.
I suppose you have a point, but, well, maybe just a little bit of time at home, and maybe a little visit to the old clinic. I'd like to help out. I'm sure you need a little bit of help, Dad.
I'll fine. I'll do fine. It's been busy, but you don't want to be a small-town doctor. He looks at you with almost sympathy in his eyes. You know, Richard, when I was your age, I had dreams. I wanted to become more than this. I wanted to be a surgeon. Brain surgeon, to be exact. After the first war, seeing those head traumas, what they did to those poor young men. I wanted to save the world. Then I met your mother. And we got you. And here I am. You know, it's a life. But...
It's better than a life. It's exactly that. It's better than that. It's you've had a good life.
No, I'm not saying I had a bad life, you know. I had a good life. But there's more to life than Håkan. There's more to life than... He looks down for a second. There's more to life than Rebecca, Richard. There are lots of lasses out there. You know? She's pretty and all, I understand your attraction, but there's lots out there, especially in London. Oh.
I am afraid not for me. I'm going to ask her to marry me. I've got the ring. I've already got a ring, and I quickly reach into my back pocket where, just before coming home in France, I've picked up a ring. It's a small bronze little band. It's nothing fancy at all. It's not even expensive. But it will do. And I pick it out and I show him. You see? An engagement ring. I'm going to ask her to marry me, Pa. Please, I'm hoping you can bless this. I'm not saying this doesn't mean I'm not going to go to London. I can definitely consider that. But that's happening. That's happening, Pa.
Your father stops for a second. Almost freezes. As he looks at you. Then he starts to laugh. Richard. Oh, Richard, he puts his arm around you. You're a silly boy. Those women, they have us where they want us, you know, and it's very nice that you want to marry that Rebecca girl, but she's gonna hold you in place. Richard, she's not gonna let you... Do you think she's gonna let you travel to London, huh? I don't think so, and more than that, do you think a girl like Rebecca Bridges would have stayed faithful to you during the years you were away? I don't think a girl like her just stays put in her father's basement during the war. He laughs and puffs at his pipe, just probably not aware of how hurtful he's being.
There's a flash of anger, but only for a moment. He is, after all, my father, and if anything, then a little voice makes me wonder why you never thought of that. Why didn't I ever think of that? I never thought of that. She's not like that. But then the letters. No, I sort of puff a little and say, I assure you, Pa, we've been sending letters the entire time. I know she's... And I kind of then deflate a little.
Well, regardless, Richard, I told her that you found some other girl abroad just to get her off my back. She was asking about you all the time, so you won't have to worry about her anymore.
Wait, what? What'd you do that for, Pa? It's a lie. She knows I've been sending her letters, Pa. She knows.
Yada. Yeah, but Richard, she's standing in your way. Can't have her stand in her way. You gotta go experience your life. She's gonna hold you back. She was a distraction, I got rid of her.
Well, I appreciate that, Pa, but you didn't need to, and I'm not a little boy anymore. I'm a man. I've been to war. I'm a man now. Thank you. I sort of stand up, and again, I'm frustrated now. I'm kind of torn between being genuinely happy to see my father, and now he's saying these things, and it's making me angry, but I don't want to be angry, because he is my father, and I love him, but then some of the things he's saying as well, it does make me think. I have been thinking that, because so many of the other boys, they didn't make it back. They can't live, but I can. But no, there's a way. And I sort of just nod and say, right, Pa, I'm happy to be home. I'm going to consider what you've said. I'm going to see her, regardless of what you say. But don't worry, I will think of London, I promise. I will.
Oh, well, Richard, I'm not sure she wants to see you, but you know how women get. Anyway, I meant to show you this. He hands you the invitation for the dance tonight. Now, before I show this to you, I don't want you to talk to that Rebecca girl. Just leave her be. Leave her to have her life here in Hawken. She's meant to be here. You're not. And furthermore, before I see you as a real man, you come to me with the title of doctor. You get that? He points at you with his pipe and puts it back in his mouth. But here's an invitation. Just celebrating, boys like you returning from the war, I suppose.
I see. I deflate again, having just spoken of how I am a man suddenly feeling like a little boy in front of my father. I see. Pa, yes. All right, of course. I'll go to the... Are you going?
Perhaps. I'm not sure. I'm tired.
Oh, of course. Yes, I suppose I could go. And I just nod, and again I think to myself, well, damn him, if I see Rebecca, I'm going to speak with her. But suddenly I feel a little doubtful, and I kind of put the ring back in my back pocket. Keep it there for now. Maybe just keep that there for now. Don't do anything too rash. Yes.
Alright. Is there anything that Richard wants to do before the dance?
I believe he would return to his old room and pace a little, taking the ring out, looking at it, putting it back in again in his pocket, looking at the locket of Rebecca. He's had it the entire time. Could she have moved on? I almost feel like I couldn't blame her. It wouldn't be her fault, if anything. Well, why would you wait? But I just thought she would. No, I'm going to speak to her, and I'm going to put a stop to this nonsense Pa said to her. Why would he say that? Silly old man. No, it's all going to be good. It's going to be good. We'll be fine, I reckon. Aye. And yes, I'll pace around and then eventually try and make myself look smart to attend this event.
What are you gonna dress like?
I'm going to find one of my nice suits. Not a fancy one, of course, just a nice shirt and jacket. Look smart. After all, the one I'm wearing is a travel coat. Don't want to look like I've just come off a boat.
Despite its size, Hawken has quite a few inns, bars, and public houses. If nothing else, the people of Hawken loves to celebrate, and especially now that the small town has been lying in shadows for years. People are more than willing to celebrate almost anything at this point. Anything that have a dance and a pint and just a few smiles. To forget about the terror of war and just exist with no fear. The local public house, Britannia Inn, is hosting the party, and it's clear that the entire town has been a part of setting up the preparations. Local breweries are rolling in barrels of wine and beer and piling them up in the back of the pub. The boys, too young to go to war, at least when the war started, is helping the mothers carry food, cups, napkins, and candles to the pub. The young girls are decorating the facade with the last flowers of the season, occasionally giggling as they see soldiers pass by. The more one looks, the more the Britannia Inn seems like a beehive, preparing for winter. What is unmistakable is the atmosphere, a mix of anticipation, delight, and relief. Finally, they can celebrate reunion with their families in their town. Elgin is leaning against the wall outside the pub, clearly chatting up a group of younger girls who takes turn pointing at his medals and asking questions about his time in Africa. He is clearly enjoying himself. Inside, the pub is buzzing just as much as outside. A big hand-painted banner hangs in the back of the room with the writing, "Welcome home, boys." A small assembly of musicians is gathering in the back of the pub. Not really on a scene, but huddled up enough for people to know that this is their area. You recognize all of them, of course. They are the same guitar players, violinists, and pianists that has always been in the pub. But today they're just a bit more dressed up than usual. At the other end of the room sits the bar owners, Mr. and Mrs. Pritchard, whose family has owned the Britannia Inn for generations. They are bossing people around In their respective corners, Mrs. Pritchard is correcting one of the young servers' aprons and teaching her how to balance a tray full of pints, while Mr. Pritchard is carrying a pile of chairs into the pub as he passes the group with a polite nod. You have arrived. You do not necessarily arrive together. You are welcome to describe how you arrive at the pub, what you're dressed as, or whatever you find is relevant for your character right now.
Well, I think I arrive with my wife on my arm. I am dressed in my Sunday best, as she insisted I dress up, and it took a while, but we eventually found my other shoe in the cupboard under the sink. But having found the pair, I slipped my feet into a pair of uncomfortable shoes for the first time in quite some time, and just haven't stopped trying to provoke conversation from Esther as we've been spending time together, as we've been walking along, and wherever there have been silences, I've been trying to fill them in, trying to spur her on. Arriving at the pub, I'm smiling. I'm happy to see my community again. I'm happy to see these familiar faces, these familiar buildings, the familiar band, and yeah, I can't help but feel proud of the place where I live.
Well, as you arrive to the pub, people are elated. It's almost as if the weight of the world is removed when they see that you have returned. You are, as Marty said, in many means, the ethical high point of the town. You are that one person everyone knows they can always come to with anything. You never judge. You never raise your voice, or rarely raise your voice, and you are kind of a father in other ways than a Christian father to many people in the town. You know a lot of the kids that's now grown up to have their own kids. You are a stability in the town. People are shaking your hand, welcoming you home. They're smiling, they're happy. It's like the old days. It's like before the war. And Esther is smiling as well. To your delight, it seems like she's returning a little more back to her old self now that she's seeing people that she recognizes, and she's in an environment that she enjoys being in. She grabs your arm tightly and smiles at you, looks up at you. She looks, despite her age, beautiful.
See, love, you just needed to get out of the house, that was all. What would you like to drink? Are you lemon and lime?
What do I usually like? Yes, that sounds nice.
Well, why don't you sit yourself down, find us a table, and I'll go and get us some drinks, eh?
Oh, okay. She disappears into the crowd. And you see, as you're standing there talking to Mr. Pritchard, you see a familiar face appear. It's Richard, the young waltz boy you haven't seen for a very long time. Richard, how do you arrive at the Botanic Inn?
Well, I come in, I guess, and I'm a little anxious at first, because it's been a while, and, well, I initially think to myself, who am I even going to know? But then, of course, it occurs to me I'm probably going to know everyone, in a way, and of course I do. I begin recognizing a lot of the older faces, because, well, it's home, it's where I grew up, and everyone knows everyone around here. It's been a while. Of course, there are some faces I know I won't be seeing, because, well, they won't be coming back, but there are some I'm hoping to see. I don't actually know. Quite a lot of people got positioned in different places, but, well, there was someone who was positioned near where I was, and I'm hoping to see him. I'm a little distracted, because as I walk in and see the crowd, I am looking for Rebecca, but maybe she isn't here. But, yes, I'll walk in, and after being given a few greetings, perhaps, I probably will notice Father Owen.
Richard? Oh, when were we last together over there? What was it, about, I guess, 4 months ago?
Hi, Father Owen! Father Owen! Ha! Ha! And for a moment, a lot of the anxiety and a bit of the stress eases off because he's here. I knew he would be. Nothing was going to happen to him in the last 4 months, but still, you never know. And I go over to him with a genuine smile. Father Owen! Oh, Father Owen, it's so good to see you! Thank God! We're home! We're home, Father!
I was thinking I bet you're bloody sick of me, and now look at we're here again.
Nay, Father, no. I could never be sick of you. How are you? How's your wife? Is she here?
Oh, Esther's well, yeah. She's just finding a table for us. I'm just picking up a couple of drinks. What about you? You settling back in okay? Family well?
There's a bit of awkwardness, perhaps, as, again, part of me wishes to embrace you, but then settles for maybe just extending a hand and going for a handshake.
I shake your hand firmly. I put my other hand on top of your hand, and just to make sure you know it's a warm and, I guess, trusting shake. I really appreciate seeing you again. This is... We ran into each other numerous times during the war. We served in the same regiment, of course, but that doesn't mean you're always in the exact same place. But too many times you as a medic, me as a vicar, would be sharing a tent and helping someone pass on. There are many stories we could tell, but I doubt we ever will. But we probably share by looking each other in the eye, and that's certainly what I'm doing now, but I'm smiling, and I didn't do much of that when I was over in France and eventually Germany.
Yes, I can see a difference in you, and it fills me with positive thoughts as well, seeing your home and with your wife, and that's going to be good for you, and yes, there are memories I'd rather forget, but it wasn't all horror, that there was companionship as well, and Father Owen helped me a lot. I had a few moments where my faith maybe I questioned a little, and he helped. So yes, I shake his hand eagerly, and I say, "Oh, well, you know, Pa's all right. He's being himself. He's glad to see me, though, I think."
Well, I bet he is. You know, who wouldn't be happy to see their son come home in one piece as well? Too many of our boys we've sent back, lacking this piece or that, I suppose, or wrapped up in a pine box. But let's not talk about that. We're here for a happy reason, and it's so good to, isn't it welcoming to see everyone in the community here, just to welcome us back? And I mean, they must have been waiting a while. War was bloody over 2 years ago.
I know, but the people do seem in good spirits, don't they? Yes, no, it's good to be back, and I'm glad to be back. Yes, Father's being a little... Oh, he's already talking about London this and London that, and I'm trying to tell him, calm down, Father!
Let him settle in. He's just excited to see you, that's all. I put my hand on your shoulder. It's been a long time since he's seen you, Richard, and he's just excited about what your future holds, because you're not over there anymore. You're not in danger anymore. He wants the best for you. That's all it is. And once he's got used to having you around, I bet he's not going to want to let you leave. He's certainly not going to be sending you off to London.
Hi. No, I didn't think of that. Yeah, I think you might be right, Father. You just know how he is. He can be so blustery. I say, I should buy you a drink, but I don't think I have much other than a tuppence on me, or a shilling. Do they even still take those?
I tell you what, Richard. I would wager that this bar isn't going to make you pay for any drinks today. We're coming back as heroes, young man. You let them treat you. Let them treat you like you are. You go up to the bar, you ask for a drink. They're not going to ask you any questions, and they're not going to ask for your shillings and sixpence. They're just going to serve you a cool, refreshing pint, and you should enjoy it because you deserve it.
Aye.
Just let yourself relax a little.
I admit, Father, it's been a while since I've had a proper pint. They weren't quite the same in France, were they?
Well, I would argue they were better, but I suppose it depends what you got a nose for, doesn't it?
Aye. I smile, and I do feel a bit better, although one of his words stings a little. Hero. I have never felt a hero. I never did. Lucky.
Mr. Pritchard hears all this talk of drinks and places 2 pints in front of the both of you. Heroes don't pay anything.
Oh, Mr. Pritchard, how are you?
There, see, told you.
Good. You know, busy day. Hey, those chairs are they don't belong over there. No, take him outside. I told you a billion times to take them outside. He disappears. The next person that arrives is Bern. Bern, how do you arrive?
I didn't get far with cleaning the house. I just stopped at everything, something that reminded me of her. And I stopped for taking another drink, and then time had passed, and it was almost time to go, and I had to change my tie at least. So I did that, though the rest of the clothes are the same. And I come in and I feel a bit heavy on my feet. I don't know how many glasses I had. Marty left somewhere along the line. Now I'm taking in the crowd. It's so many faces. It's good to see them again. I try to straighten up and look professional. I used to be the police constable in this town. And I must keep myself dignified. So I kind of awkwardly go through the room, greeting people as I go, and unless someone comes up to me, I'll...
Well, someone does come up to you, actually. Mr. Pritchard sees you right away. He shoots over to you. Good to see you back, I guess. He laughs and puts his hand on your shoulder. Now, no funny business tonight, okay? No fighting, no nothing. This is not your party.
No. And I clench my meaty fists. I can feel them itching. I want to punch someone. Of course. No. I'm here, if anything, I'm here to keep the order.
I know you. And Marty. I'll be keeping an eye on you tonight, but, regardless, we'll come back.
Good to see you, Pritchard. I Penderin and an ale, please.
Owen and Richard, you recognize Bern. You've known him, well, at least Richard, you've known him all your life. He used to be part of the police force in Helken, and you know that's ever since his wife left. Times have been rough, and he certainly looks like someone who's been through a rough time tonight as he staggers into the bar, almost too drunk to enter.
I look over, perhaps looking to Father Owen for a few seconds and then back at Bern. It's good to see him. I'm reminded of childhood memories, mild tellings off in the forests, but no, he was always fair to me and a good man, a good officer, I used to think. Bloody hell, though, he does look older, though. But then I guess it's been years. So I just sort of smile and begin drinking this pint, which tastes bloody good, as I sort of just smile at Owen.
Bern, you old bastard.
Here we have here. It's, all heroes come back from another round of fighting.
Well, if I was to bet that anybody would still be standing here, pickled in something or other, it would be you when we got back.
I've not had that much yet. You made it. I go over and I start take you by the shoulder to start feeling you like all in one piece.
Oh yes, I didn't lose any part of me. Don't you worry about that. And what about you? You staying out of trouble?
Just come back to town myself.
Oh, well, where were you?
I was down in Birmingham only, just helping Irma with the children.
Oh, off in the smoke.
Yes. Scoundrel was away during the war, so someone had to show them some discipline.
Mr. Byrne, it's a pleasure to see you again. You're looking well.
Ah, Richard. How is your degree coming along?
Well, a little on hold due to the war, but, well, who knows, maybe I'll be back at it again. I had to do a lot of learning with my hands, if you get me meaning.
You were always brought up well. How's Dennis? How's your father?
Oh, he's well, thank you, Mr. Byrne. He's well. I'm glad to see him. Real glad. And real glad to see the old town. Hasn't changed much.
It's good to see you, too. And how is Esther? Where is she?
Oh, she's fine. I was just saying to Richard, she's just gone off to get a table. A bit lost off with the fairies. I said that's how I described it earlier. Since I got back, I think she's just been a bit excited, been a bit confused since I've been gone, and I don't know. I'm happy to get back. I think I got back in the nick of time before she completely went cuckoo. Did you end up in any rough spots? You probably heard this already, Richard, but no one he knew how to handle the best of him already in the first war. And he always keeping good straight discipline. He's always had his socks ironed.
I sort of just smile, noticing that Mr. Byrne does seem a little inebriated, and I just say, "Hi, we have a few stories. Most of them wouldn't be very interesting, though, I assure you. Stitching wounds up and dodging enemy bullets. It's not that as exciting as you'd think."
Put any one of them down, you get some shot at the Nazis.
I pause at that, feeling a bit of a stirring in my stomach. The answer is not many. I had to defend myself once or twice, but being a medic, it wasn't really called to me, but once or twice. But I just kind of shake my head a little and say, "Oh, not many." I was in the medic tents, and I kind of just stutter a little and sip my drink.
Byrne, it's actually very rare for soldiers to end up taking other soldiers' lives. It doesn't happen as often as you might think. Most of the time we're just running around, and well, most of the lives lost are due to big explosives or one poor soul manning a machine gun.
Remember the waiting? There was always the waiting. We played so much cards back then. Do you remember? You were shocked.
Well, I suppose if the devil had to help me at one point in my life, it was with cards, but I gave that up a long time ago, except for the occasional game of solitaire. We occasionally had bullets whizzing over our heads, and that's what you'd expect, but most of the time we stayed out of trouble and let the young fighters do the fighting. We were there to patch people up and...
That young fighter's like poster boy over there. And I point at Elgin.
Oh, yes, he's come back with a good tan, hasn't he? I heard what they got up to in North Africa. It's bloody impressive what they were able to do to those, first the Italians, then the Germans. 1-2 punch. Not like how we got bogged down in France. I've got some stories that I would like to hear from him, I'm sure.
I actually look over in Elgin's direction and blink a few times and smile and say, "Oh, Elgin, he made it back too. Well, that's bloody good. Bloody good."
Language, boy.
Oh, yes, sorry, sir.
Elgin looks over at your direction, raises his hand. Doesn't really say much. He turns his head to the girls he was talking to, which interests him a lot more than you. And as you look his direction, Cowan enters the door. How do you arrive, Cowan?
A bit of a mess, if we're being honest. Despite his best of efforts to not have to wear this suit, his mother was having no amount of that. So despite having gained quite a bit of muscle weight over the course of his employment, in quotation marks, he's stuck in this suit that's 2 years outsized for him. The trousers are bunched up behind the seat. He can't get any more than the first top button together. The pant legs and the cuffs are far too far up his shins, up his wrist. He looks uncomfortable, physically, mentally. The moment my mother was out of view, I was no longer interested in putting on the face that I wanted to be here. And if that weren't enough, he had to spend the whole time with his brother giving him these patronizing questions. What was life like down in the mines? Did you get to work the face? What was the equipment like? Such and such. And every time that I managed to get more than 5 or 6 words into the sentence, he would break through with some kind of interruption. Oh, an explosion, yeah? Probably nothing like the Matildas at El Alamein. Oh, it was dangerous? Yeah, I saw my fair bit of danger crossing off the Meredith line. That's where I got this. And he'd point to his chest, to the Queen's Commendation, to some kind of distinguished service medal. And it was like that for the entire walk. So by the time Carwin finally arrives, he spends a good few minutes outside just trying to calm down, look out of the way, not even standing by the front of the pub, because that's where the villagers are coming in, and God, that's just so much more trouble. But you can only put these things off for so long, and eventually he has to rip the Band-Aid off. So he steels himself coming in through the front door. For what it's worth, he's making a beeline for the bar. There's no way that this evening goes well without just a little something to take the edge off.
I squint at you as I see you coming in. And there's the younger one. And I slurp loudly on my whiskey.
Of all the people in the room that he's trying to avoid eye contact with, he's trying to avoid eye contact with Byrne the most.
I squint a little. After all, I can barely recognize him. It's been years, but then I look at Elgin and look at Karen and I say, "Oh, it's his younger brother. Oh, did he serve somewhere? Do you know, Father Owen?"
Do I? I'm trying to remember now. I'm so sorry, Richard. I was just thinking about Esther. I've been looking over at where I sent her, and I haven't been able to see her. Don't know where she's gone off to. Do excuse me a second. I'm sorry.
I just nod, accepting that quite easily, and again I just look over at young Karen, thinking to myself, he has grown, if that's him. He was... how old would he have been? Maybe 16, 15? Oh, hard to remember.
I'm looking back over at Elgin again. That one. See, he's grown fat. Probably seen a speck of action.
Well, Mr. Byrne, if he was in Africa, he should have definitely seen something. There was stuff going on over there, or so I hear. I wouldn't know I was in France pretty much the whole time. Most of the time.
I squint at you. He's grown fat. I absent-mindedly stroke my own keg.
I kind of nod towards Byrne, smiling politely before sort of saying, "Just excuse me a moment, Mr. Byrne. If you need a drink, I might be able to get you one. I think. I don't know. They're being generous tonight."
You celebrate your victory. Proud to have you in Harkin.
Well, thank you.
I look for a chair to sit down on.
And I'll mosey on over to the bar and kind of just a bit awkwardly... "Karen, is that you? It's me, Richard?"
So as Richard arrives, Carwin has already entered into a small altercation because, as was mentioned, heroes drink for free, and that does not apply to some of us.
Mr. Pritchard is leaning over the counter with one elbow on top of it. Sorry, lad. It's soldiers only, real heroes, not people like you. You pay full price.
Carwin, who didn't bring any money with him, has nothing coming back from the mines. That was all paid in ration coupons, and he's deciding emotionally whether this is worth the stress, and then Richard appears. That's just enough of a distraction to keep him from slamming his fist down and being done with it. So he turns, Richard, yeah. One of, yeah, hi. And you can see the wheel spinning as he's trying to place it, but he recognizes you as one of Elgin's older friends. He's not sure if that's a good or a bad thing yet.
Hello there, it's good to see you. You've grown. Mr. Pritchard, I kind of have left my beer just down the bar a little. I think, could I maybe trouble you for another drink?
Yeah, you? Of course.
And I kind of take the drink, and then I kind of attempt to just sort of look at Carwin and just sort of offer it to him subtly as I sort of turn my back to the bar, like, I feel bad being the only one having a drink.
I'll take it, staring down into it as I ask. So, you too, huh? Out to the fronts.
No, not really. I mean, I was, but, behind the front, I mean, you couldn't have the medical tents at the front there, because that would be really dangerous.
Right, well, I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't? Did you not go somewhere?
That's right, everyone was already gone from this town, no.
Mr. Pritchard interrupts. He was a dodger.
Oh!
Carwin steals his mouth. No. His Majesty decided that my services were required elsewhere. To keep the lights on, to keep the factories running, some of us had to dig.
Yeah, that's what they all say. You're scared. He walks off.
I sniff a little awkwardly and say, well, that's not how I'd see it. We needed those. You worked in the mines. I hear that was dangerous work.
Wasn't pleasant. Not as dangerous as, and he makes a grand gesture towards Richard. I'm sure you know.
I don't know if I'd agree. I hear a mine collapse is a terrifying thing. No, I see. There you go. Yeah, that's where you served. So what if you weren't on the front? I wasn't. Not really.
Well, you might want to keep that opinion to yourself. Not a whole lot of people around town seem to agree with you.
I reach for my own drink, quickly, bringing it back. No? So you've actually still been around town. How is it? I feel, on one hand, very familiar, and on the other hand, everything seems a bit different.
Some things not. My mother, she's a bit off, but I've heard stories about the raids on Liverpool. Things were pretty tense around here. It wasn't that bad in Pembrokeshire, but I don't know. I think it's over, but it's not. It doesn't seem like people have quite let it go.
You're happy to see your brother back. You must be. Look at him. Bloody hell, all those medals.
Yeah, he's great.
I'd go and say hello, but you know him. I mean, look at him already chatting up the girls. That's Elgin. Hasn't changed.
Hey. A bit down the bar, you see me leaning over the bar, trying to get the Pritchard's attention. Any food being served tonight?
Your voice is not cutting through the noise of the bar and the laughter and just the elated voices around you. The band, if you can call it that, has started playing. Some people are out dancing already. People are just on another level of happiness. But, Byrne, you do see a younger girl. You know her as Anna Bevan. Shy girl, but always someone who's been fairly popular among the kids in town. She's serving tonight. She has her dark hair in 2 braids behind her head, and she's balancing around a big tray of pints. She passes you, but it's as if she's just different. There's something about her that's not like the young happy girl that you remember. She's looking to the ground. She's avoiding eye contact. She doesn't look like she's having a good time at all. She passes you.
Miss Bevan. Young Miss Bevan? Anna?
She looks up, but looks down quickly again. Doesn't say anything.
Look at you, carrying things around and helping the heroes, making a nice contribution to tonight's services. No need to look so down.
It's very odd, because Anna, she doesn't reply. She just kind of hands you or beckons you to take a pint of the tray she's carrying. Looks away, looks down.
I probably shouldn't. I probably should get me some food in my tummy. Are you serving any food tonight?
She pulls back her tray and turns away from you and walk over towards Karen and Richard.
I follow her with the gaze, and then I end up standing there glaring at Karen.
She walks over to the two young men, and as she's about to offer you a pint, she trips.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played the campaign The Whispers of the Mountains for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. The Whispers of the Mountains was written by Clara Herbal, who was also our keeper for this series. We were joined by our dear friend Matthew Dawkins and our new friend Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games. The music is from the Cthulhu, Nyarlathotep, Yog-Sothoth, Shub-Niggurath and Azathoth compilations by our friends at Cryochamber and the Paleowolf album Genesis. Check them all out at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more music for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Ludwig Manford, and Bob Lange for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening. And remember, that is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons, even death may die.